you say? What do you know? A brand new set of graphics and video for us here for a brand new episode of the
Geek Buddies. Hey!
Well, wonderful graphic art design artist reached out to me a few weeks ago and asked if I'd be open to him taking a look at the channel and making some changes. And I was like, I've been waiting for something like this to come along. And so we had some fun conversations. And this is our trial run to see what you guys think about the opening video. And what do you think about the new graphics? I think the three of us are very much enjoying them, but we're open to hear what you guys might think about it. Let us know down in the comments section below. But we're here. Go ahead, Michael. Yes, if you like it.
No, you know what this reminds me of? I know we're not supposed to talk about Bill Cosby ever again in history, but like growing up, every season of the Cosby Show, you got excited about the new opening that they were going to do for the Cosby Show, and I kind of feel like it's our new opening. This is exciting. I don't think any of us are Bill Cosby, to be clear, but the feeling is the same.
That's
maybe stop saying Cosby. Maybe stop saying Cosby.
I'm just saying.
People of the geeks. Anyway, we got so much to get into today. We are hitting the three big brands in the world of geekdom here. We're going to hit Marvel, we're going to hit DC, and we're going to hit Star Wars. We'll be talking about big Marvel news that's popped off on the last few days, the DC stuff going on that popped off also in the last few days, and we're going to do our spoiler review for Andor episodes 4, 5, and 6, where a lot happened on Gorman and a lot happened on Coruscant, and a lot of couples got into a lot of stuff there in that Star Wars. So that'll be much later in the show, but we're going to dive into things. Let's not waste any time, gentlemen. Let's jump into the first thing, and that is Avengers Doomsday. We had a rumored cast list that my co-host Jeff Snyder dropped on the hot mic last night. And there are a lot of names, this being a full cast list here. I'm going to read them off. Mark Ruffalo, Benedict Wong, Brie Larson, Don Cheadle, Karen Gillan, Jeremy Renner, Iman Vellani, Danai Gurira, Tessa Thompson, Ki-Hee Kwan, Tiona Paris, Will Poulter, Dominique Thorne, Shakzel Gomez, Sofia DiMartino, Tatiana Maslany, Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Catherine Newton, Wunmi Masaku, Lashana Lynch, Famke Johnson, Halle Berry, Kai Zen, Owen Wilson, Chris Pratt, Samuel L. Jackson, Charlize Theron, Benedict Cumberbatch, Haley Atwell, Chris Evans, Bradley Cooper, Vin Diesel, and Maria Bakalova. Oh my God, I'm sorry. So we know that is shooting right now. We saw Chris Hemsworth on his Instagram working out, getting ready with the short haircut. So, Michael, you hear these list of names. I know it's rumored, but you hear these list of names. What's your reaction to the list of names? Do you like it? And what names are missing? And what names are added that you enjoy seeing?
It's everybody. Everybody.
Well, succinct as ever. Yes.
It's not. I mean, wait, it's not Spider-Man.
True. Not Spider. No Tom Holland. Yes.
Was Ryan Reynolds ever announced or not announced? Is Ryan Reynolds not? Ryan Reynolds was nowhere.
Yeah.
So Ryan Reynolds nowhere.
Right.
Hugh Jackman, was he announced or was he not?
He was not announced.
All right. So those are three big ones given everything. I mean, Spider-Man, we kind of understand why, because we know that that's a movie that's coming out after. But I mean, you read the list and you're like, okay, so it's everybody. So it's like all the Guardians of the Galaxy. There's some that you like were expected. Like I knew Tiona Paris was going to show up because I think aside from the post-credit sequence in the Thunderbolts, the post-credit sequence in the Marvels now seems to be one of the only ones that mattered in phases 4 and 5. So Tiona Paris was one that I was expecting, and then Lashana Lynch was a natural extension of that. But yeah, it just seems like, okay, so all of the potential young Avengers are there. Yeah. All of the Guardians of the Galaxy, as we know them now, are there. So that means no Gamora, but everybody else... And no Gamora, no Drax, but everybody else is pretty much in there, right? Yeah, and like Famke Janssen and Halle Berry, that was definitely we don't have those deals closed yet, so we can't announce them with the other X-Men, but we're just going to do what we're going to do. So like neither of them is a surprise. Right. But yeah, it's like, it's the whole gang. I mean, it's everybody. So here's what I'll say about it. Okay. And it's interesting. And I think we're all in a good place coming off of Thunderbolts. I know we're all going to talk about it live later this weekend, but like, I think that coming into Infinity War and Endgame, we all recognized what they were attempting to do was impossible.
Right.
But we were amped for it.
Right.
And we all had a lot of belief in Marvel. And they pulled it off. Like
Yes.
in any stretch, Infinity War and Endgame massively pulled off something that you should never be able to pull off.
Right.
So now here they are trying to do something on the same scale, but bigger, in a phase where they have lost a lot of their trust, even if they're gaining a little bit of it back lately.
Right.
So am I excited about all this? Yes. Do I have the belief that they're going to be able to tell a story with 2 Avengers teams, the Fantastic Four, all of the X-Men, the Young Avengers, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and most of Wakanda? We'll see.
All right, Shannon, what are your thoughts when you see this list of names? Who excites you, or who's missing, or who were you glad to see being a part of this? What are your thoughts here?
Well, there's no Paul Bettany on the list.
There isn't. Yeah.
There is no Haley Steinfeld. There is no Joe
Oh.
Locke. So I think the Young Avengers, that group is not rounded out.
Okay.
That being said, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of people. And for all the folks that they are including, I mean, Wonder Man's coming. Wonder Man's going to be in the movie.
Right.
It does, the Hugh Jackman, Tom Holland thing does surprise me, despite the fact that Tom Holland's movie is, going to be coming out like 6 months later, 5 months later.
Right.
It's exciting. It's exciting. Could this be an absolute train wreck? Sure.
Right.
But getting that many heroes together, there is something that is just, it kind of makes our inner fanboys just get super, super excited. Again, how they're going to pull this off, I have no idea. I was a fan of Thunderbolts. So seeing a big group of people together just gets me so excited. I mean, are we going to have that moment like we had in Endgame? Are we going to have a Portals moment? It would probably be in Secret Wars. It would be my guess, but I don't know, man. It's crazy that a movie with this many principal cast members is happening, and it's a tall order. So, but I'm excited to see the attempts.
This is a $400 million film, Michael. I mean, this is like, you get that many people, and then the other one would probably be 500 Secret Wars. So yeah, you were going to say something, yeah.
No, I mean, it really is fascinating to be sitting where we are right now. Because look, Shannon's right. I mean, I can say, I don't know if they're going to do it. Like, we're all excited about this. Right. Like the concept of 2 universes. Nope. The concept of 3 universes of heroes coming together in a movie that is going to be cosmic. It's like just the scale of it is just ridiculous what they're attempting to do. And because this is a studio that has done this before to huge success, with the directors who did it before to huge success, but both the directors and the studio have been much maligned since then.
Oh, true.
But we're just at this part where this whole the thunderbolts of it all, and knowing Fantastic Four is on the horizon, just sets this up to be a really interesting point in Marvel's entertainment sort of history. Yeah, because we were not feeling as good about Marvel a year ago or 6 months ago, as I think a lot of people are feeling this weekend coming off of Thunderbolts. By all buzz from everybody in the world, Fantastic Four has knocked it out of the park.
Right.
And then we got this.
Right.
So I don't know. I would say that coming out of Thunderbolts, particularly with the post-credit sequence that we're not going to talk about today, but we will talk about when we do our spoiler review, has me feeling like at least they're on the right track.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what it feels like to me when you look at this. And I also go, they understand what the public wants, and they understand what the public needs to see. So they're willing to bring all these people in so that they get that kind of fan service nostalgia, but also the fans feel like, okay, they get it. They know what we're looking for. They know what we want. Just like we saw, as you mentioned, Michael and Shannon, with Infinity War and Endgame. We were, do you remember? Like, we were like, how are they going to pull this off? Yeah. Now we're doing that. We're plussing it to a whole nother level. Like, how are they going to pull this off? And then this is not even Secret Wars, which is still another, how are they going to pull that off? So there's just a lot with how they're approaching it. Yeah. And
the big wild card in all this, I think the bigger wild card with a cast this size is that with going into Infinity War, as big as that cast was at the time,
Yeah.
everybody kind of had their spot.
Right.
Like, you got Loki off the table right away. You go, okay, it's Thor and the Guardians here. It's Cap and his team of Avengers in Wakanda. It's Iron Man, Doctor Strange here. Like, everybody kind of had, you split the teams up really well, and you knew where everybody belonged, and you had a really good sense of all these characters and their relationships.
Right.
We got fucking, what, Shang-Chi's going to be hanging out with the Wakandans, and we don't even know what Shang-Chi's been doing since his movie. Like, there's so many characters listed here that we've met once or a little bit. So, you know, the real question is, with all of the cosmic level stuff happening, are we as the audience going to care as much that the Thunderbolts meet the Guardians of the Galaxy, or what Shang-Chi thinks about Reed Richards? You know, like, it's just there's a lot more work to be done going into Doomsday than they had to do going into Infinity War. Infinity War, one of the reasons it works so well is because there's no exposition in that movie.
Yeah.
Like, you open that movie and Thanos is doing what we've known Thanos was going to do for 2 years, and you went right into the action pretty much right away. You had a Wong giving you a reminder of what the stones were for the audience. And other than that, that movie is 2.5 hours of action. There's going to be more work done in Doomsday, and that's going to be the real thing that's going to make or break the movie.
I also think when you look at the cast list, you're going all over the place. Shannon, I don't know if you want to add 2 cents on this, because what we saw with Infinity War Endgame, they did a really good job of kind of redeeming Brie Larson as Captain Marvel after that first Captain Marvel movie, right? Well, we're back in the same boat again because people didn't like that Marvel's movie. Well, we've got Teyonah Parris, we got Brie Larson coming back, you got Iman Vellani being in there, so you're certainly going to enjoy her. They're probably going to do a great job redeeming all of them, although they did a great job in the movie itself. The movie maybe not as good, but the chemistry was great. So they're going to take advantage of that. But then we're going with going to the TVA with Wumi Masaku. You got Sophia DiMartino. So the Loki stuff is going to be involved in this. So they're going to be going all over all these places within the Marvel universe to tell this story. And we're also bringing in the Fox, as you said, Michael, 3 universes. We're also bringing all this kind of stuff. So it's going to be super interesting to see how this all plays out. And if they nail it, I mean, this is a gargantuan task in front of them, and they're coming off a lot of L's outside of the Marvel universe. So there's a lot of questions on whether they're going to be able to nail it fully when it's over. And they're shooting apparently back-to-back. And apparently the first one's supposed to come out like a year from now, which is really hard to believe when you think of all these people.
It is, but like, somebody pointed this out. About a year ago, we were talking about Fantastic Four, and we were like, there's no way they're going to get that movie done in time. They're just shooting it now. I don't know how they're going to get those visual effects done. And here we are, and they did it. So...
Well, the thing that I wanted to add, I mean, you touched on it, John, was the inclusion of the TVA. Like, now that's something that we sort of presumed was going to happen, but they were so tied to Kang. Right. There was the possibility that, like, okay, Kang's kind of off the table. Does the TVA go with him? Like really we only need Loki. Like, Loki's the god of stories, holding everything together now. But the fact that they are acknowledging the TVA, like, not just Wunmi Masaku or Sophia DiMartino, but also Kiwi Kwan. He's going to be coming back as well, based off of this alleged list. This rumored list. How the TVA is going to also factor in to everything that's happening? Maybe it's a scene. Maybe it's one quick boom,
I was gonna say,
boom, Doom comes in and they're gone, but
you guys are like, meanwhile at the TVA, guys, something is coming up on our screen. Boom, they're dead. Okay, well, that was great. I'm glad we're in the movie.
So we'll see. And again, it's a rumored cast list. I want to make that very, very clear. No one is saying this is the actual full cast list. It's a rumored full cast list. Might be true, might not, but it does come from a good source on Jeff's side. But let's stay within the world of Marvel. Let's talk about this story that just broke as we were about to start here. Apparently, Ryan Reynolds ain't done with Deadpool. He is working on a film here with the X-Men, with a team up for Deadpool and X-Men. This is very interesting. I mean, he says he doesn't like to do Deadpool movies unless there is a reason for it, but he's apparently working on various treatments for an ensemble film featuring 3 or 4 X-Men characters. Deadpool would appear, but only as a supporting player. And he's said to be keeping him a little bit on the sidelines throughout the movie to allow for the X-Men characters to be used in unexpected ways. So, Shannon, I mean, what do you think of this story? Does this make any sense? Do you like this idea that he'd be coming back to play Deadpool or X-Men thing? Do you think the X-Men will be the Fox X-Men like you did with Channing Tatum and other members of the Fox universe in Deadpool and Wolverine? Or would this be the new Fox people? And is he trying to get himself to be like the new Tony Stark in a way? What are your thoughts on this story?
I think Ryan Reynolds, despite the fact that even in the article, they say that he hasn't pitched this yet. This is something he wanted to devote some time to writing. I think he's happy to get any press that isn't about him and his wife right now. So, not a total surprise for him to be like, hey, I got a thing I'm thinking of. As far as like, if this could happen, I mean, I think a mutant centric film with Deadpool at the forefront, I think that's a great idea, and I think Marvel is definitely open to listening to that idea, because their first at bat with Deadpool resulted in over $1 billion in box office receipts. This all is going to be post Secret Wars, and so I don't think we quite know what the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to look like after that. But Ryan Reynolds is Wade Wilson. I mean, he is Deadpool. So if he has a fun idea for a mutant adventure where he gets to, slip on the red tights again, have at it. Yeah. But yeah, it'll be really interesting to see what the Marvel Cinematic Universe looks like after 2027.
Yeah, what do you think of this story? Michael, is this just Ryan maybe doing a little PR, trying to take a little attention away? I mean, his wife has Another Simple Favor out right now on Prime Video, just debuted yesterday. So what are your thoughts on all of this? Do you like the idea of him teaming up with the X-Men? And which X-Men is he going to team up with?
I mean, so making the big assumption that post-Secret Wars, we are done with the Fox X-Men.
Yes.
With the possible exception of Hugh Jackman, we'll see. But then we're sort of like rebooting the X-Men. We know that they're casting young people to be the X-Men, and that the Marvel Universe, we don't know exactly the shape of it, but it's going to be one of those, like, I'm assuming it's going to be a soft reboot. They're going to keep the actors they want to keep and the characters they want to keep, and they can recast characters they don't want to. Like, this is sort of you have done 6 phases for us. Go do what you want. We'll see what you do. So I'm assuming, but also you're not going to get rid of Ryan Reynolds because, $1 billion, like Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool is just like dollar signs to Disney. So they are like, we're good to keep him around. So it would be him and probably some of these new X-Men. Look, the nerdy, but like geeky executive part of my brain is like, I don't know. We're just launching these new X-Men. Is it time to throw Deadpool into the mix? This could be really messy. I don't know if this makes sense. Let's just get the X-Men sort of established before we do this wild idea. But also, $1 billion movie. Like, you just like, it's one of those things. Yeah. It's sort of like the Moana 2 thing. Do I like Moana 2? No. Do I think it's a good idea to take a TV series and then say, hey, let's just turn it into a movie? No. Do I think it turned out well? No. Did it make a fuck ton of money and Bob Iger made the right choice? Yeah. Like, you can't argue with it. So same thing here. Do I think throwing Deadpool on an adventure with some X-Men is a good idea? Probably not my favorite thing, but will it probably make $1 billion? Yeah. So you kind of got to go, okay. I do think Ryan Reynolds, PR woes aside, he's at a level of fame and he has a box office track record that, as opposed to a lot of other actors who could find themselves in his position right now, his PR woes are annoying to him.
Yeah.
But they aren't really hurting his career. Like, this guy's fine. Like, all the shit going on with him and all the rumors about what he's really like or what he and Blake are really like it kind of doesn't matter, because he goes in and says, this is the movie I want to do. And pretty much any studio is going to be like, cool. Yeah. Do whatever you want.
Well, there's also a cover here, isn't it? He's like standing up for his wife, right? Who knows how much was he involved? How much not? That's all up for speculation. And you can argue that he's standing up for his wife. Do I agree? No, you hear the rumors, you hear the stories behind the scenes, but those are those of us in the Hollywood bubble. Most people outside that are looking at Blake, not really him. And he's just had that wonderful press with the Wrexham team, the first team ever to get promoted 3 different leagues back to back to back. So he's riding high on a lot of things going on. If it wasn't, as you said, Michael, for this pesky PR stuff or annoying PR stuff, he'd be king of the world right now, legitimately. And so,
well, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is, by any stretch of anyone's meter, Ryan Reynolds is king of the world right now.
Wow.
Like I'm saying, like we can talk about the PR stuff all we want, but that like as opposed to other people where that would really affect them, like, oh, like I mean
their status is what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, look at, you know, I mean, like, man, I'm not even going to pick an example because you're like, oh, it's different. But like, there are plenty of people that run into PR stuff or you get a hit piece written about them and all of a sudden they're unhireable. People don't want to meet with them. Ryan Reynolds, it doesn't matter. So like he says he wants to make a Deadpool movie for Disney where he's going to take a couple of the X-Men and go on an adventure. Whether that is strategically a good idea for the MCU or not is kind of immaterial. Like it'll happen.
It'll happen if you want. All right. If they want it to happen and he can deliver a good script for sure. One last story in the Marvel block and we'll get on out of here of this section of the show here. This just popped off here just a couple of days ago here with Jeremy Renner in a new interview with High Performance. Renner was talking about playing Clint Barton and coming back for a second season of Hawkeye. He says he was offered, quote, half of his salary from the first season. This has echoes of Carrie Coon there coming back to be a part of Endgame, or asked him to be back a part of Endgame. They asked me to do season 2 and they offered me half the money. I'm like, well, it's going to take me twice the amount of work for half the amount of money in 8 months of time, essentially to do it for half the amount. I'm like, I'm sorry. Why? Did you think I'm only half the Jeremy because I got ran over? Oof, maybe that's why you want to pay me half of what I made on the first season. This is an interesting angle from Marvel, but we've been hearing lately, you know, the drum beats of the cheapness of Disney and their approach, because he's made it clear it wasn't Marvel, it's Disney who's trying to do him on the cheap. And we heard that from Carrie Coon, as I mentioned as well. So what are your thoughts on this stuff, gentlemen? What do you feel about it?
I mean, I know that the buzz is that it's not Marvel, it's Disney, and Disney can certainly be cheap, but Marvel from day one has had a reputation for being cheap. So I don't know how much I'm going to, oh, no, it's not Marvel. They'd pay everybody what they're worth. This one kind of is a head scratcher to me. Like the Carrie Coon thing, like, look, I love Carrie Coon, and Carrie Coon being like, I'm not going to come back is good on her, but also like she was a voice of Proxima Midnight, and it was fine that she wasn't there. Doing a second season of Hawkeye without one of your Hawkeyes, like I just don't know what you do. Like I don't understand what the thinking would even be to say let's offer Jeremy Renner half. I mean, I don't know if in the story it was more Kate Bishop centric and Clint Barton was kind of a backseat and it wasn't a two-hander as much, and so they thought it would be okay. Like I don't know what the thinking was, but I can't. Like this was one where I was like again, like I'd pay Carrie Coon anything to do anything, but like I understand Marvel's, nah, we're not going to pay you more money. You were the voice of Proxima Midnight. This one, I'm just like, what? That doesn't make sense, guys. Just pay the man. It's hot. His name is the name of the show.
My name is on the show. Yeah.
Like you just like you'd be like, they'd be like, we'll pay you half, and you pull up the poster and you're like, which half of this poster do you want? The hawk or the eye?
More letters, more money. Give me the hawk side. Shannon, your thoughts on this story? And I know you're a big Hawkeye fan. Yes, we enjoy it, but you really do enjoy it. So were you perplexed by this decision? And do you agree with Michael that it seemed like maybe Hawkeye was less of a role this season as more Kate Bishop?
I mean, that is something that I considered, but the stories of Marvel's frugality, like they do predate Disney, the Disney purchase. It's a bummer because again, like Hawkeye wasn't everyone's favorite show. It always baffles my mind when people say I didn't like it, but it is one of my favorite Disney Plus series, if not my favorite Disney Plus series, depending on what time of year it is. If it's around the holidays, it might shoot up to number one. But yeah, it's kind of a shame because I don't know how you do a Hawkeye show without Renner involved in some capacity. Like Vogel said, this could be a little bit more of a Kate Bishop centric story, and Renner would only be popping up here and there. Like, again, we don't know. I'm kind of crossing my fingers that this is a little negotiating in the press, because if the idea for a second season was there, based off of their chemistry and how much I enjoyed that first season, I would really, really like to see it. And I'd really like to see the return of Bert and Birdie to the MCU
Yeah.
because they directed some of the best action that we have seen post Endgame. I mean, that chase
That's true.
through New York. I mean, like give these two a project and let them run the whole series because they just tapped into those characters. But yeah, it is a shame. I wonder, and like maybe you all have heard this. I mean, are there any physical limitations to what Renner can do now post his accidents?
I mean, I don't know. He's on that rumored Avengers Doomsday cast list, so they clearly think he can do something in the movie. It doesn't seem like
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, like it's kind of like with visual effects where, I mean, it matters, but like it doesn't matter to the degree that you're like, yeah, let's pay him half. He can't jump. Like,
no, I'm not connect. No, I wasn't connecting those two. That was you got a limp. We're shaving off a couple million.
He's got a shaky leg. Pay him half.
Well, that's what he said. Am I half because I got run over? Am I half the Hawkeye? That's what he was saying. But yeah, I mean, like he said he did. I think this is Disney not wanting to do the show, and then they offered him like nothing to do or half, as he said. And so that was their way of going, oh, well, we can't do the show. And Renner doesn't want to agree to the quote. So, all right, sorry, guys, we can't do the show. I think this was their way of maybe doing it that way, where they're like pitching them a certain number. And then because if you really want to do the show, you'll negotiate and figure out what number to land at so that you can do the show. You know, no one's going to nickel and dime Ryan Reynolds to come back and do a Deadpool movie. So if you want to do the season, you negotiate in good faith, and it seems like maybe offering half. How do you think they wouldn't know that Renner wouldn't be like, this is dog shit, you know? So,
you know what the best thing would be?
Go ahead.
I'm just thinking about Ryan Reynolds. Marvel reboots after Secret Wars, and they cast Justin Baldoni as Deadpool.
They'll have him direct the movie. And it'll go Justin Baldoni's Deadpool. And he'll like put his name above the Deadpool. That would be perfect.
Oh.
Well, before we leave the world of Marvel, just as Michael was alluding to, we will be doing a live review of Thunderbolts coming up 5 p.m. PT this Sunday, 5 p.m. PT this Sunday to talk about this movie, break down everything that's happening. It made $11.5 million on its opening night, which is pretty amazing. So hopefully this means it's going to have a really good weekend. They're still prognosticating about 75, which feels kind of right to me, but it might go to 80 or 90 as we saw.
My vote is 84 to 86.
84. Oh, that's really specific. Okay. Shannon, do you have a thought on this? Anything?
I will say 89. Just so we can do the Price is Right. I'm just trying to get a couple of digits higher to get closer. 89, they would beat Brave New World.
That's true. It's a good point. Yeah. So we'll see. But if you want to join us live at 5 p.m. PT on Sunday night here on the channel, we will do that for you all and answer your questions. Have fun talking about everything that happened in that movie. All right, let's move on to DC, gentlemen. Let's talk about this mess that's going on here. It was reported by The Wrap, Humberto Gonzalez and Drew Taylor at The Wrap, that Luca Guadagnino's Sergeant Rock movie has been canceled. This was at The Wrap. And then subsequently, THR and a couple other publications came out and said, no, it's been postponed to summer of 2026. Well, that got a lot of tongues wagging and people battling back and forth amongst the world of punditry and entertainment journalism about what the truth is here. But, The Wrap is not backing down from their reporting, saying that they hear that it's canceled. And just to add on to that, now we hear from a few rumors that CLAYFACE is possibly getting a page one rewrite or a massive rewrite by the director of the movie, looking over Mike Flanagan's script and delivering possibly a better script. So you hear this news, you hear this stuff. Vogel, it seems like there's a little James Gunn DC messiness all over again. And Jeff reported last night on Hot Mic that even HBO was a little hesitant, rumored to be hesitant about going forward with some of these DC series because they don't think they're quite at the level of Penguin or Lanterns, some of the other pitches that have come through. So what are your thoughts on all this, man?
Well, the Sergeant Rock thing is not a surprise.
Is it canceled? Do you think it's canceled or delayed? Do you think the delay was bullshit or do you think it's true? Cover.
I think at this point, those two words could mean the same thing for James Gunn at the moment.
Ooh,
I think that everyone is so freaked out about Superman.
Yes.
And every day you open the internet and there is a new, well, this is in the new film. Well, it's not what Zack Snyder would have done. Well, this is my Superman. Well, this is, look, well, I can see his underwear. And as much as that doesn't represent the public,
right,
people in the industry are looking at Twitter and looking at social media, and they're seeing just this, they're seeing that Superman is not tracking the way they probably want it to track.
Right.
And that there is a vocal group online, however many people that is in real life, that are just not going to shut up about how they hate this movie. Yeah. And so they're unsure. And I think that based on what we've heard about screenings, people are seeing the movie and they're like, okay, like, this is cool. It's different. It's this, right. It's that. It feels very James Gunn. Are people going to like this? I don't know. Like, so I think there's a lot of concern. And so I think if you say to me, Sergeant Rock has been canceled or Sergeant Rock has been delayed, all delayed means is we've delayed it until after Superman comes out, and then we're going to make a decision. And if Superman is good, we're fine. And if Superman is bad, it's canceled.
Oh, yeah, right.
That's what it means. Yeah. I also think that James Gunn is starting to realize that although Marvel does a lot of things wrong, doing everything the opposite of Marvel isn't necessarily the answer. Like, he kind of came out of the Marvel machine, and the Marvel machine, for better or for worse, is we have this bigger story. We're telling everything, it's connected, and we can all complain about the fact that we don't like that, and it causes some movies to have to do massive reshoots, and then they retool everything, and things are changing. And this movie wasn't even about the movie; it was just about the bigger universe. But the proof is in the pudding. We all went to go see Thunderbolts, and we saw a bunch of characters come together, and it made us happy. So, that's what Marvel does. James Gunn came out and said, I'm not going to do that. It's going to be loosely connected, but this is about each script needs to be right. And if the script is good, I'm going to do it. And if the script is not good, I'm not going to do it. So it's just all about the artist. And you're like, cool. So where's the Wonder Woman movie? I don't know. Okay, so what's happening with Batman? Well, we've got 2 of them. Okay, what about the Flash? We don't talk about the Flash, but Sergeant Rock and Clayface, those are my winners. And you're like, dude, those might be great scripts. Although the script that you got for Clayface that you said was so good that you had to make the movie, you're now doing a page 1 rewrite of. So that doesn't really track. But in general, it's just a matter of when you're building a universe, you can't just go willy-nilly and pick any character you want and go, this seems like a good idea. Like, the audience has certain levels of expectation. Should you subvert those expectations sometimes? Yes. Nobody knew who the Guardians of the Galaxy were, and they became one of the biggest brands in Marvel. But you also need to think about, what am I building on the bigger picture here? I have this whole universe, and there's a bigger responsibility to these characters, to the company, to the world itself. And I think he sort of thought he could go 100% in the opposite direction. And he's finding out that even when they tell you you have the keys of the kingdom, you only have the keys for so long until they're like, give me those keys back.
Yeah, I liken it, Shannon, to like, you know, when you work at a place and you watch your boss, you're like, oh, I can do better than him or her. Wait till I'm in charge. And then you get in charge. And you're like, wait, I didn't know all this other stuff was involved in being in charge. And then you realize, wait, all these other people are talking crap about me because they think they can do my job. And so it's a repetitive thing that you see all the time. And it seems like James Gunn is like getting a crash course in what it's like to actually run a universe. And that just because you want to do a movie, as Michael, I think said really well, it doesn't mean you should. You've got to have a plan. Thanks for the Clayface script. When we get a little more stability, we'll absolutely look at doing that. Let's get Batman established, Wonder Woman established, and then we'll figure out what we're doing next. But he's jumping kind of all over the place, and now stuff's getting canceled or rewritten or pushed aside. There's still the battle over Batman. And Superman, as Michael said, like, there was a new rumor. There's some sort of monkey scene writing tweets about Superman. It's like, what is going on? So what are your thoughts when you hear all this stuff here?
I'm gonna say, I try and be really positive, and let's wait and see. I'm not gonna lie. The monkey tweets made me nervous. I'm not gonna lie. Monkey tweets made me nervous.
I agree. What do you think of all of this, Shannon? Is it just James Gunn a little over his head right now, or what do you think?
Well, this is the first time I've heard monkey and tweets put together in the same sentence. So this is all brand new. In terms of like the Sergeant Rock thing, like my presumption when they announced that project was sort of like, okay, this can't just be a good script. This can't just be a good idea. Right. This has to connect to something larger, because why would you why would you pick this obscure character and Luca Guadagnino as well? Like, how does this work? But when they were talking about Daniel Craig being in it, I'm kind of like, okay, well, I like Daniel Craig. And then when they said it's not him, it's Colin Farrell, I'm like, I like Colin Farrell. Okay, let's see. But now the whole idea that this thing that they were so ready to shoot or so ready to make is now either delayed or canceled based off of the result of another movie that's coming out in 2 months. It's pretty wild. When you look at all of the projects that they announced, which to this day I would be like, man, that was exciting. Also, I think that was a mistake. Like, you literally are throwing you're doing what former DC did. You're doing what Star Wars does, and like that just doesn't instill a lot of faith in your fan base. When you look at all of those projects that were announced, if they had said, hey, guess what, there's something else coming, no one would have picked Sergeant Rock. So I don't think there's any large disappointed group in the fan base like, oh, we're not getting Sergeant Rock now. The Clayface thing I thought was interesting. I'm kind of like, okay, if this has got you this excited that you can do a sort of antagonist-led film, like sort of this body horror on the cheap, I'm like, great, let's see it. But as Vogel said, if the thing that got you so excited, you're completely changing, you're completely redoing, is it because of the potential Batman connection? Again, there's a lot of announcements that are made then that are immediately walked back. And you would think at this point, they would think at this point, that's not the thing to do. Like, let's sit down and really make sure we want this out there before we make another announcement that doesn't see the light of day.
Mike?
I was gonna give to be fair to them, but I don't feel like being fair to them right now. Like, the whole thing is just silly. I just really think that, you know, and I stand firm on we got to see what Superman is.
Right,
like, I'm not going to judge Superman before Superman comes out. As much as the internet is trying to make us do it, I'm like, look, even the monkey tweets, like, I don't know, like, James Gunn's universes are crazy. Like, there are things that if you pitched me, you pitch me that you're going to do a giant space movie where they do a Kevin Bacon dance off at the end and it's going to be satisfying. I would tell you were stupid. I'd say, no, there's no way. That sounds so stupid. Right. It worked. Like, so James Gunn has done weird stuff. Like, that's what he does. So we know we're getting this Silver Age Superman. It's going to be a very different vibe. And we know that there are a certain group of people that love a certain movie that are going to hate this movie no matter what. But that actually doesn't matter. What really matters is how the public likes this movie. Like, what really matters is if people come out of that theater and they're like, you got to go see this. This was so much fun. It was wild. I've never seen a Superman like this before. Some weird stuff in there, but it was cool. Great. If people come out and they're like, oh man, like, that's what really matters. And I think that what I think James Gunn needs to take away from all of this, though, hopefully, is that, let's just say Superman does good enough that he gets to continue doing what he's doing. They need to figure out he has to make some bigger decisions about the universe to allow people to then have creative freedom underneath that. You can't just willy-nilly be picking random shit and just throwing it out there.
Right. Yeah. I can't fault him. Luca Guadagnino, who is an established prestige filmmaker, comes to you with a script for Sergeant Rock, and you're like, you know, I like these kind of smaller characters. I like these characters that never got their day in the sun. James Gunn is really great at that, just like Guardians of the Galaxy. He likes the nooks and crannies of comic book worlds. And so the idea, who would blame you for taking a chance on it? But yeah, there's got to be, where's Peter Safran in all of this? Why isn't he stopping him? Why isn't Zaslav coming in and going, I don't give a shit. You're going to give me a Superman, a Batman, and a Wonder Woman. Then you can do whatever the hell you want to do. Not that he's Foghorn Leghorn. I'm just throwing that out there. But like, the idea is that you want to have that kind of stability and then jump from there. And I get, and everyone's making it really clear right now. They sense that they're all just waiting for Superman. If Superman does well, then he can do a $200 million Authority film, or then he can do all these other things. But I think it has to be both. I think Superman and Supergirl have to both hit, because those are both James Gunn projects. Yes, Craig Gillespie's directing Supergirl, but it's very much James Gunn's, overall
You
executive.
broke Shannon. You're trying to make a point here, and he's still laughing about Foghorn Leghorn's ass off.
God damn it, James!
No, it's like if you got the Sergeant Rocks here. What in the
hell? That boy's confused.
What in the Sam Hill is this? I thought this was going to be about Batman. I say.
Thinking Sergeant Rock. Anyway, these ideas are all possible, but so it's an interesting situation. That being said, though, we also have to create a little bit of grace because James is trying to put this universe together. But I don't know if Superman doesn't do well. I don't know if he's going to have the time to finish it, to be honest with you. It seems like this is where we might be headed down the road if neither one of those films really blows up at the box office. So we'll see. All right, now let's calm it down a little bit and get into Star Wars here. We're going to talk.
Let's calm it down and talk about the most intense Star Wars series that ever existed. Cool. Let's relax. What do you think this is? Skeleton Crew?
A rock?
Let's chillax, everybody. And let's head into Andor Season 2, Episodes 4, 5, and 6 here. 4, Ever Been to Gorman? Episode 5, I Have Friends Everywhere. Episode 6, What a Festive Evening. All of them directed by Ariel Kleiman and written by Beau Willimon. There's some fantastic stuff going on here. We had more with we see now Andor leading these rebels in Gorman, assessing if they can actually pull off their rebellion. We have more with Bix here as she is dealing with her PTSD. We have more with Dedra and Cyril and their unusually interesting relationship, but also Dedra hiding things from Cyril because she's working for Partagas and possibly using Cyril to get information about the Gorman rebels. And we have Mon Mothma here trying to rally the other senators, not finding many senators to be on her side. And then this insane situation where she is at this art gallery thing with Orson Krennic while Clay is trying to remove the listening device as Lonnie is trying not to shit his pants the whole time. Then we have Saw Gerrera delivering one of the 3 best monologues in the Andor series so far. Vel and Cinta, of course, and seeing what happens with their situation and the recasting of Bail Organa. So, Michael, I go to you first. Your overall thoughts on these episodes 4, 5, and 6 of Andor Season 2?
I mean, you just laid out a lot, but
overall, we're going to get into the specifics here.
But overall, I love Andor.
Yeah.
Overall, I love watching Andor. I love the experience of Andor. I love 3 episodes at once. I love just diving into it and just like living in this universe for 3 hours on a Tuesday evening. And I think what Tony Gilroy is doing is just absolutely brilliant. And to the point about James Gunn and everything he's doing and what he's doing right or wrong, nobody was asking for an Andor series.
Fair point.
You gotta give a little bit of grace where you're like, well, give us what we want. If you only gave fans what they want, if you only go Wonder Woman and Batman and Superman, they would have given us a Luke Skywalker, Jedi something, and a this and a that. Nobody was asking for more stories of Cassian Andor, and yet Tony Gilroy cracked something that has told a completely unique kind of story in the Star Wars universe. It's not everyone's cup of tea. Some people like the myth and the magic of Star Wars, and they feel like this is lacking here, but you can't deny the artistry, the craftsmanship, the care, and the power of what Tony Gilroy is doing here. And I think that he continues to prove it week after week, episode after episode. And I was 100% invested in every big and small moment of this and loved every aspect of every storyline.
Yeah. I mean, they messed around and fell into prestige television with this series. No one saw this coming. And as you said, Michael, so well, no one was begging for a Cassian series. I mean, on the level of Solo, people are like, I don't want a Solo. I don't need a Cassian series. Yet it's been one of the best things they've done. Shannon, your thoughts on these 3 episodes? What do you think overall before we dive into the specific storylines?
I mean, across the board, I do like this 3 episode section more than the first 3. I like the first 3. This one I really, really was into kind of from moment one. And this reminded me a lot of the scene work reminded me of like the best seasons of Game of Thrones. like the human element that is introduced. I mean, that scene in the 3rd episode, as we're going back and forth between Krennic and Mon, skirting the edge of polite debate as Clea is trying to get this listening device. I mean, that was so tense. Like, that was so well constructed. Watching the progress that Cassian has made as a character. Like, when you think back to that first 3 episodes from season 1, this kind of scavenger who's just trying to survive, and seeing that this incredible spy that he's become, the whole Varian Sky disguise that he puts on. I mean, it's just so well done. And I mean, I don't watch them all 3 back to back. Like, I like to have a second to just kind of process, but also I want to stretch it out. Like, I want to elongate this process as much as I can. And again, Stellan Skarsgård, I hope that there's some statue talk for him as Luthen, because that's literally, I mean, he is the definition of the devil, you know. I mean, he is just stone cold. He's the thing that you don't want to acknowledge, but you absolutely need.
Yeah, great point. Yeah, I loved these. I mean, rewatching them for our conversation after having seen them already, they carry even more weight when you rewatch, because when you're watching the first time, he's like, what can I catch? And when you're watching a second time, you can relax a little bit and really let it wash over you and feel the tension, the knife edge. I mean, there's a lot of Mission Impossible energy in these 3 episodes, where even the removal of the listening device, that is sphincter tightening stuff. You're on the edge of your seat wondering what's going to happen because of everything that's going on around it, right? Lonnie is being forced to remember this stuff while Orson and Mon are going at it about how the Empire is treating people within the Empire, that the planets that they own and control. And so there's all of this tension going on the whole time. It's just incredible. And then you add on to everything that's going on with Cassian and what he's trying to figure out with Gorman, and the battles now with him and Luthen, right? Luthen going, well, I don't care that you don't think they're ready. If it blows up, it blows up. It'll be a big fire that everybody will see. And of course, the Vel and Cinta stuff, which is really touching and moving, and where all that leads to. So just amazing stuff throughout these 3 episodes, and the big storyline, which we'll get to now. Let's jump into this thing right off the bat here. As I brought up pictures already, so let's just hit at this, Michael. I mean, Cassian, through these 3 episodes here, we see him coming back. Him and Bix are in that apartment. They're trying to figure, she's very much trying to find some sort of normalcy. He is so much more on edge, snapping at the guy who's handing her melons or whatever. But then eventually he is sent by Luthen, after Luthen wears him down, to go and investigate what's going on in Gorman. And he has conversations with the Gorman leader there. We see those guys having their talk in revolutionary talk, which is very reminiscent of the French Resistance in Nazi-occupied France in World War II. And it leads to Andor basically saying, look, they're not ready. They shouldn't do this. Luthen doesn't care, as I mentioned. But also, Luthen has gone behind Andor's back to talk to Bix and try to figure out if he can use Bix, which really pisses off Cassian. And then you have the situation with Bix, where she is pushing back on Cassian. I'm not your sister. I'm not your mom, even though I'm taking these sleep drops. And then eventually it leads to her, Cassian helping her put in a position to torture this dude and then blow him the fuck up. So, Michael, your thoughts on Cassian and Bix throughout these 3 episodes and their storylines?
Well, I mean, there's a lot to talk about here, but I think that first, I think the Cassian and Bix stuff is so subtle and lovely. None of it is very heavy-handed. I mean, obviously the whole opening with Bix sort of seeing Dr. Gorst again, like she did in the first arc, and you get that she's really still dealing with that, but they do a really nice job of very cool and interesting exposition in a way that is very subtle. Like, the fact that Dr. Gorst is there is the same as Arc 1, but now there's this soldier, and Dr. Gorst is saying, oh, well, Cassian said it was okay. And you actually pick up pieces of information that's confirmed later that she's also struggling because Cassian and her were on a mission, and Cassian killed a dude because he saw Bix's face.
Right.
And that she's struggling because she's dealing with, and this kind of ties in sort of thematically to everything we're talking about about Luthen. Like, Bix is struggling with, what does this mean to be in this rebellion, to be in this war with the Empire. And if we're killing people because they saw our face, are we as bad as they are? Like, is this right? Is it wrong? She's like, am I as bad as Gorst was for what he did to me? And so, like, in a very simple sort of opening scene, they pile a lot on you. But what I really like about the Bix and Cassian issue is that they're both justified. Like there's not is Cassian being overprotective? Yeah. But the first time he left Bix, she was tortured. And the second time he left Bix, she was sexually assaulted. Like, yeah, he's going to be overprotective of her, but him being so overprotective and treating her like this broken bird, she's like, fuck you, I can do more. Right. But she also is really struggling with, like, does she really believe that herself? So there's a tenderness with them and there's a care with them that's really lovely, but there's all of these things bubbling below the surface that, you know, and Luthen kind of comes in and says to her, he's like, I want you strong. I want you to, but you got to get off these drugs. And then his confrontation with Cassian later, where Cassian's like, you know, what is it you want? You're doing that. And he's like, I want her as strong as you do. And then ultimately Luthen, which I think is an interesting, I'm really curious to see where things go with Luthen, because both with Vel and Cinta, ultimately tragically, and with Cassian and Bix at the end, he chooses to let them be together. Yeah. You know, like Vel says, or Vel or Cinta, one of them says, you know, we're more valuable to him apart. And he's sort of keeping Bix and Cassian apart at the beginning, but when he lets them be together at the end to attack Dr. Gorst, like, they fucking kick ass. Like, she shoots him, Cassian blows the thing up, and you're like, okay, here we go. Like, we're a team. And so the whole arc of Bix and Cassian's relationship, while not the most showy part of this arc, I mean, the Gorman stuff and the Saw Gerrera stuff is really, like, at the heart of keeping your humanity in the middle of doing terrible things. And I thought all of that was really, really, really lovely and interesting. So that's the Bix stuff. I mean, I'll get into the Gorman stuff with Cassian later, but like, there's so much more to talk about. But yeah, like, that's the big, so like Bix specifically, I thought seeing her not only her struggle with her PTSD, but her struggle with what the rebellion even is and what it means. I mean, I think one of the reasons that some people don't love this version of Star Wars is because we love a fun rebellion. we love let's go hide out in a base in the jungle.
Very clean.
Like, yeah, we're gonna hide in a base in the jungle, and we're good guys, and I got a droid and he's got secret plans, and we got to get these plans to the guy on the other planet. I'm gonna get in a fast ship. Like, that sounds great. Staying in a grungy safe house and waiting for a really scary man to come and tell you who you got to go kill next doesn't sound as fun, but this is the reality of rebellions. I mean, Tony Gilroy is such a history buff, and he's taking all of his love of every fascist regime and rebellion throughout history and saying, let me show you what it was really like a little bit, but with spaceships.
Yeah, I think of the scene in Clone Wars with the sisters and Ahsoka. That's such a seminal scene for me, where they say, like, you guys are up there battling philosophies. Down here, there's like real stuff going on that is a consequence of all the stuff you guys are doing there with space wizards and laser swords. Like, we're down here on the ground floor, and this is Coruscant. And we're used to seeing Coruscant as this beautifully clean, white, gray, like all this like very clean existence. And then you're seeing where they're living in that room. The views are still nice, but the inside of it is very grungy. So showing you the other side of it. What do you think of all this? What do you think with Cassian and Bix here throughout the these 3 episodes, Shannon, yourself? What are your thoughts on?
I mean, I think Vogel already said, like, neither one of them are wrong. Like, Bix wants to establish some sort of normal life, even while they're in this safe house. The fact that Luthen comments like, "Oh yeah, you don't get many of them with a view. Like, you all lucked out. You got a nice one." She's talking about plates. Like, let's can we go for a walk? Can we do this? Can we do that? And you see Cassian's justifiably yet overly cautious nature taking over. Like, the fact that Bix is having a conversation with the guy at the grocery store. Cassian is like, nope, we don't know that guy. Everything that he says is correct, and every feeling that she's having is correct. And I think that's what makes the show so interesting, is the fact that it's not black and white. I mean, everyone has their point of view. It's all these really interesting shades of gray, and trying to get this specter of Dr. Gorst out of her head, like the only way she can do it is to open up. And they come together as a couple at the end and are hopefully able to have achieved that now. I mean, the moment where you see just sort of this righteous anger in Bix's face as Gore sees her is like, I know, like the fact that he lives rent-free in her head and he's a little fuzzy on who she is. I mean, it is just so fascinating.
Isn't it in season 1 in the Aldani arc? Is it Evan Moss Backrack who says that line? The tree remembers, but the axe doesn't.
Yeah, that's the second 3. Yeah. I mean, so it again, just super well done. And as you guys both already said, like I get why this isn't for everybody. Like you want something a little more dynamic, a little more classic Star Wars. But for those of us that do like, I don't want to call it elevated, but like something that is a little more tactile, I guess. This is really interesting. I love the pew pew. Give me the pew pew all day, but I also like this. I also like conversations between people.
Yeah, that's what I love about Star Wars. I can enjoy Skeleton Crew for the fun thing that it is, and I can turn around and enjoy Andor for the challenging and complicated approach to what a rebellion and what an empire would look like when you're rebelling against that empire and the ramifications of it all. I like that. And I do, as Michael and Shannon pointed out, I love the idea that Bix is trying to achieve some semblance of normalcy, but also questioning. Because remember, she isn't a gung-ho rebel. She was someone who was kind of semi-roped into this, and kind of like Wilmon. Wilmon wasn't like, let's go rebel. It's like, oh, you hung my dad? Fuck you. It's different. So everyone's got a different path into the rebellion, whereas Andor was always kind of a criminal and a crook and a little shady. This made sense to him with what happened to Marva and all of that. There's a determination here, a desire to feel a place, a belonging. With Bix, I think she's figuring this out as it goes along, and it's getting bigger and bigger than she anticipated. So her wanting to slow it down, her wanting to find some sort of normalcy, and also find if they're right. I mean, I think of the line she says to him, I don't want to give everything up if we don't win. That's the thing. Like, I don't want to sacrifice everything of who I am if it's for a lost cause, because then not only do we lose, I lose myself. And I think that's a massive part of her character and how she approaches the rebellion. It's not that she can't do it. It's that she has to feel they're doing it for the right reasons. And I think that's important to have as an energy, because Andor will do almost anything,
I mean, she was in the rebellion before Andor was. Just
but she
knew she was Luthen's contact that Andor was like, can I talk to your guy to sell him?
Right.
Already working with him, and then Andor got wrapped up in it, and then he's elevated obviously since then. But
right. And I guess that's what I'm trying to say. She wasn't at the level she's at now, and it's getting bigger, and that seems to be the thing. Well, Shannon, what about Cassian? Michael alluded to it. Let's get into Cassian. Do you like the way he was handled in these 3 episodes and his journey to Gorman, his playing that designer and all of that, and then leading to the confrontation with Luthen over whether the Gormans are ready, and even that confrontation, I think, in the coffee shop where he's berating the young girl who's the daughter of one of the rebellion leaders.
I mean, Varian Sky as the name for a designer is just that is just pitch perfect. Again, I love the kind of cloak and dagger stuff that he's having to do. One, just in terms of production design, like the way they made Gorman look like this super opulent planet. Having things that we recognize as like, hey, here's a fancy hotel where there's a bellman, but it's Star Wars just ever so slightly. The scene in the coffee shop where what was the leader of the Gorman Front's name? It's escaping me, but his daughter, Rylance. When his daughter comes to visit him, and the moment that Cassian just dresses her down, just kind of like, oh, you think I'm this? I could be this. I could be this. I could be this. Like you all are new at this, and you are not good at it. Like you look at the way that he approaches conflict, the way that he approaches this task of like, are they ready? And him saying to Luthen, like, you still sense that humanity that Andor does have. Yeah. And he's like, they're not ready. Like, if this doesn't work, these people are toast. And again, Luthen's response being like, what if it goes up in flames? Like, then it'll burn brightly. Luthen's looking at all these angles. Like, if we get them on their side, great. If we lose them, we might get someone else on our side. Like, Luthen is playing like that, that 4D chess, whereas Cassian is still kind of looking at this as right and wrong. And Cassian's moment when Bix tells him that Luthen stopped by, like, that was oh my God, this mother, like, when he shows up at Luthen's shop on Coruscant, and him just like, that was, you stepped over the line. And the way Luthen is still able to keep up that foppish persona, being like, this was his mistake. That's why this is ending right now. Thank you for bringing this back. I mean, it's just, again, it's just so well done. It's the type of dialogue that, as an actor, you crave for the opportunity to get to perform. There was so much in this one.
Yeah, Varian Sky, someone speculated on, I think Vulture, in one of their reviews, I wrote this down, it might be a name based on Varian Fry, who was an American journalist and ran a rescue network for Vichy, France, France, from August 1940 to September of 1941, that helped 2,000 anti-Nazi and Jewish refugees, mostly artists and intellectuals, escape from persecution by Nazi Germany during World War II. So, as you mentioned, Michael, he's very deep in his knowledge, Tony Gilroy is, of empires and of what went and how they've destroyed rebellion, how they've caught the dictatorships, all this throughout the history of the world. So it's interesting. What do you think about Cassian in all of this?
I mean, it was like seeing him be Varian Sky was just a blast. Getting to see this side of it, like, we know that he's a badass, he's a fighter, he steals the jets, but like getting to see him do a little bit of the I'm playing somebody else was great. And Shannon's right. Not only the way he dressed down Rylance's daughter, but I think what's important, and you compare it to what he does with Luthen later, he's like, you were not careful.
Yes.
You were not careful. You did not do this. And then seeing him go from that, like, this is why you fucked up, this is why you facked up, to just go back to, but I can't wait to come see some fabrics, was really, really hilarious. He just had this charm to him. Question for you guys, because this has come up. Did you guys get that he was flirting with that bellhop?
No.
See, you straight people. Every gay person I know watched that scene, and we all went, oh, okay. Like, I see what he's doing here. Like, he's really, like, when
there was a moment I expected him to put his hand on his shoulder.
Oh, yes, okay. There's a thing that he's doing as part of just his character that, like, like, I've talked to like 3 or 4 straight guys who are like, what? And every gay guy, I'm like, gay nerd, I'm like, you see that? I'm like, oh, you mean when he was hitting on that bellman? Oh yeah. Which, again, but it's such, like, again, what I love about the show is the reason that it is so in that gray area is because it's so subtle. So all of those pieces are subtle. So everything that happened there, but like, really what's interesting about all this is that what Shannon said is that as kind of brusque as he is with the Gorman resistance, it's because he can just see right off the bat that they have no idea what they're doing. I mean, even when he's like, when Rylance is like, hey, so we have an Imperial informant. And he was like, dude, they give you fake information. He's like, no, we're good. And we know, as we're watching it, that they're getting fake information from Cyril. Like, we know that Cassian is right. And he goes through this entire thing and goes back to Luthen and is like, they're not ready. But because Luthen, and this is where this episode really, this whole arc got me, Luthen knows that the Empire, for reasons that he doesn't know, but through Lonnie, he knows they are very invested in Gorman.
Yes.
So he had already decided before he sent Cassian what he was going to do. And he argues with Cassian. And it is, as Shannon said, he just wants, he doesn't care if the Gormans lose.
Yes.
Like, he's like, good, this will be great, because Gorman is a very public world. It's not in the Outer Rim. And if something happens there, he's like, great. And what he wants is the exact same thing that, what's her face? Cyril and what's Dedra. That's what Dedra said to Krennic.
Yeah.
Dedra wants the rebels to get over their skis and fuck up. And Luthen wants the same thing. And so to Shannon's whole devil you know thing, it's interesting that Cassian is so adamantly against this. And Luthen he's doing the same thing the Empire is. Like, it's interesting to see. But all in all, like, Cassian had like a really good time as Varian Sky. He kind of disappears and then he comes back strong, helping Bix at the end.
Yeah, I thought that was really good. And also, as I mentioned in our review of the first 3 episodes, it shows how far he's come as a character. This is now 2 years after the end of Rogue One. So, sorry, not Rogue One, the first season of Andor. So what you have now is a even more experienced guy. He's more aware, and you can see the show is grooming him to maybe take the place of Luthen or whatever. You can feel that. You can sense that he's growing. The fact that I don't think you can count on one hand and maybe even 2 fingers the amount of people that can push back on Luthen. Right? Mon Mothma might not even be able to push back on Luthen, but I think Kleya and Andor are the only 2 people who really have that possibility to do that with Luthen. And so when he goes at him twice, once about the Gorman situation, and you're so right, Shannon, you see the humanity of Cassian in that moment, because he's like, these people will die. These people are going to die horrible deaths if they keep going down this path. They started too late. They're not ready. Their systems are not set up to handle what they want to do here. Don't do this. And Luthen doesn't care. And as I said the last season, that's one of the reasons I kind of hate him as a character, but also understand him as a character, is that everyone is expendable to this guy but himself. Everyone is expendable to this guy but himself. And that concerns me. He even made a hint about possibly Cassian having to take out Bix if she becomes a problem, which is like, what the fuck? So there's things here going on. I understand that he's necessary for the rebellion, just like Saw is in certain ways, but it is something to consider, especially with Bix's storyline. Like, who are the villains? Who are the heroes? It all depends on your perspective in a situation like this. And it's challenging to watch that in a Star Wars show. Go ahead, Michael.
But what's interesting, again, like, to your point, like, I agree with you about everything, but he's right.
I know he's right.
Like, that's the thing. In season 1, he knew that Aldhani heist was going to result in the Empire cracking down, which they did with that resentencing law that Mon Mothma is trying to get overturned in this arc. And that caused people to suffer, and people suffering made them more mad. And even though I don't know exactly where we're going, knowing the little that I know of the Gorman massacre, he's right. And it's going to work the way he wants it to.
Right. Because like you said, if it does mess up, it'll burn bright enough for the entire galaxy to see. And that's essentially what he wants. Before we leave the Cassian, I want to give a shout out to our Cassian storyline. I want to give a shout out to our friend Brian Ward here. We've all done terrible things on behalf of the rebellion. One time I made people think I was a fashion designer. Now, there you go. Cassian Andor, of course. But let's move on to this storyline. Shannon, I got to get your thoughts on this. What is going on with one of the most unusual couples ever to come together in this series? We do see Cyril, who is, talking with his mom, but he's using those conversations to get himself now connected with the rebels over there on Gorman. And his mom thinks he's been sent away or whatever, but he knows what he's doing here, and he's doing it in service of Dedra, who he thinks is smoothing the path for him to get closer to Partagas, so he can be maybe moving up in the Empire's realm. But of course, Dedra is hiding things from him. We have the scene with her and Partagas as well, talking about like, well, we don't want to reveal too much. And then eventually Cyril and her are in front of Partagas, revealing these things, and Partagas strokes him like a happy dog. But we also see this relationship leading to turn off the light sex and him being followed. And he's almost turned on by the fact that he's been followed by her. So this is a very unusual relationship, but also within the storylines, what do you think is happening? Because we also see Dedra having a little bit of her power taken away by some of the other guys on the council, because she's been sent to Gorman instead of handling things there, the aftermath of Ferrix.
Cyril Karn is at home under someone's thumb, whether it is his mom, whether it is mom or it is Dedra. that is where he is the most comfortable. And when he's under a better thumb, like he's under Dedra's right now, he's emboldened a little bit with his mom as the head of the Gorman station for what was it? The Bureau of I can't remember the name.
Yeah,
Standards. Their relationship is fascinating. I mean, the thing is Cyril is actually smart. Like a lot of his instincts are right. He just doesn't have the backbone to kind of see them through. He doesn't have that force of personality that Dedra does. So watching as he is kind of interacting with the Gormans, watching him kind of go to that meeting and just sort of taking everything in, everything that he is saying to Dedra, again, is correct. It's funny how when you look at Saw, when you look at the other factions in the rebellion, it's not that different from the Empire. How when at the Bureau of Standards, when that ISB group comes in to do the big raid, it's just so much fun to watch, to see him kind of playing this role of someone who is like, I know someone is in here listening, and so I'm going to make them think that I'm in trouble. So that's going to then smooth the path for me to get in with these Gorman rebels. The actor playing Cyril Karn, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's wonderful. Like he is doing such a great job. And I think it's Kyle Soller, maybe.
Kyle Soller, yeah.
And Denise Goff, who plays Miro. Any scene in the ISB with her and Partagaz, I absolutely adore. Like, I just love looking at these kind of, stark backgrounds and this very measured delivery of this is how we're going to rule. Like, it is just so dynamic for me to watch, despite the fact that these are very stationary scenes. But the moment that he gets in to their apartment and he's like, so how much time do we have? It's like an hour. And he's like, an hour? I've been at Gorman. Really? That's all I got? Do you really think someone's watching Edie's apartment right now? And then the way that she is not entertaining any nonsense, where she's like, turn the lights off. Turn the lights off. It is so fascinating to watch. As a couple, they are the polar opposite of Cassian and Bix. But yeah, I mean, it's just super dynamic. And I would love to see more of Dedra Miro, because Denise Goff is just wonderful.
Yeah, Mike, what are your thoughts on this? Because it seems like, she's hiding things from Cyril. This is not necessary. I mean, she just defended him to his own mom, and now she's in a way using him now in this situation. And what's going to happen when he finds out that she was tricking him? So what do you think so far about this relationship, though, in these 3 episodes, and how it went about and Cyril's movements there within Gorman?
Well, Dedra Miro is a psychopath.
Oh!
No, I mean, Denise Goff said in interviews that she studied up on female psychopaths to prepare for this role. And what that means is what we saw in the first arc of her defending Cyril to Edie. Go her. But was she really defending him because this is my man, or is she just grooming an asset?
It's a fair point. I need to use him. Yeah, right. Fair point.
She's going to use him, and she's using him here. I mean, Cyril has never been happier than he is in this arc. He is a spy for the ISB. He gets to. I'm going to trick these rebels. I'm going to pretend that I'm on their side, and he's doing great. Yeah. Like he's got their number. He knows when they're looking at him. Like he has never been happier in his entire life, but he doesn't actually know what he's building to. And he's a sensitive little boy, that Cyril. And although he very firmly believes in the Empire and he loves tracking numbers and seeing where people have broken the law, I don't know how he's going to really handle the aftermath of what he is laying the groundwork for.
It's a great point.
And I think that if and when he cracks, Dedra's not going to care. Like Deidre, like I don't know, like we'll see how Deidre handles everything too. Like given everything she's dealt with on Ferrex, like the entire situation that it's a powder keg for all of these characters. But you know, this whole Cyril's being kind of used by Deidre, and that I don't know that she cares. Like I think she is as cold. Like we talk about Luthen, but Luthen is cold with a purpose. Like he said it to Lonnie in season 1. He's like, I'm the devil who's never going to see the sunrise that I'm helping to make. Right. Like he knows that he sold his soul, but he sold it for a cause. Deidre, she's just crazy, man. Like she just doesn't care. Like she just is like just cold for cold's sake. So the whole dynamic with them is interesting. Watching Cyril be the happiest little spy that ever skipped through the streets of Gorman is hilarious to me. And then one minor thing that I thoroughly enjoyed was when he was talking to Edie on the phone and she was going off on how bad the Gormans were. And he was like, Mom, you're watching too much Imperial TV. Yes. Any one of us who has a parent who is on the opposite side of the political spectrum. And if you are a conservative, you've probably told your parents they watch too much CNN. I tell my parents they watch too much Fox News. But when he was like, Mom, that's not true about the Gormans, you're watching too much Imperial TV, I was like, well, that hit real. That hit real right there.
Yeah. Well, that's what's interesting about Cyril. Like, it's easy to dismiss him from last season and a little bit into this season as this kind of foppish, sensitive little boy, but he does have a code, like bubbling underneath. He has a code. Like the Empire can do what they want as long as they follow the rules. Dedra doesn't care about the rules. As you said, Michael, psychopath, sociopath, whatever you want to say. Like to her, the rules are there, but they can be broken or fuzzy when I need them as long as the Empire wins in the end. So there's a difference in philosophies, and I think it's fascinating. And I will say this. How can you say? Shannon said this. He's intelligent. I think Dedra realizes that he has some level of intelligence, or they wouldn't have handed this.
She wouldn't use him if he was like. You're not going to send a guy to Gorman to be your asset in the field if he's bad. Like that's why Shannon said he's too he doesn't have the backbone, but I don't think that's necessarily true. Yeah, no, I think Cyril has a backbone. Cyril's issue is he doesn't do things. He has a code, but he also just wants to please the people above him too much.
Who he is assigned importance to. Yes.
Yeah, he's assigned this importance to, hey, pat me on the back and tell me I did a good job. Right. And that's more important to him than really standing up for what's right, even if what in his mind is right is the opposite of what we think is right.
Yeah. No backbone. Yeah, but I do think, fair point. We can argue that. But I do think that what can I say? I do think there's I do think she wouldn't have used it if she didn't think he was intelligent. And that's what I mean, because like playing all those sides and trusting him to get the information, I don't think you send someone out who isn't somewhat capable of doing it. So there is a certain level of that. But the feelings for each other, clearly he has feelings for her, but is she returning them? I don't know. So it's going to be
I don't even know if she's capable of that.
That's a fair point. That's because, I mean, she said she grew up in that kindergarten or whatever it was from the Imperial stuff. Have they beaten all the feelings out of her? It's an interesting thing to consider.
He saved her, and it seems like she might feel indebted.
Yeah, good.
Without having genuine affection.
Yeah, true. Well, let's move on to this storyline here. Michael, the Mon Mothma stuff. We see her, trying to lobby a lot of senators from the other areas of the galaxy, even the Gorman senator who's like, you know what, I don't want to upset the apple cart. She's like, I got you into this damn body. And he's like, yeah, I appreciate that, but I don't want to. So she is not her seat is finding no purchase, to use a Raising Arizona phrase, anywhere in this entire Galaxy Senate. And even we're seeing stuff that feels a little too topical when we see that Gorman has been turned into this hotbed of terrorists who are against the Empire because of those false narratives they're pushing. And even seeing a senator say, well, it's not really wise to attach anything to Gorman right now. So you see that she is not having her way with some of these senators to get them to vote against this act. So she's losing ground here. And then we see her at this gallery with Luthen, with Clea, who is trying to remove that listening device with Lonnie there covering her. And then eventually we do see Bail Organa show up in the form of Benjamin Bratt. So what are your thoughts on the Mon Mothma storyline, the Clea stuff that happened, and Benjamin Bratt's recasting?
I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but I love every Mon Mothma storyline, period. I think they're all the best. One bit of continuity that I think is just really cool in the way that Tony Gilroy told, like, you could have had Mon Mothma running around talking about any votes that she needed to get, and it would have got the point across. But from a continuity standpoint, like I was saying earlier, like post Aldhani, when Luthen knew the Empire would crack down, they cracked down with the crap, I can't remember, the Public Order Resentencing Directive.
Yeah.
So the Public Order Resentencing Directive said any crime at all, we're going to come down hard on you. Right. And that's why when Andor got arrested, he got sentenced to 6 years and went to go to that prison. But so that order is still there. And what Mon Mothma was going around and saying is, so the Empire is arresting so many people that it's not making less crime, it's making more criminals. Like, crime is up literally everywhere. Right. So this is not making things better. We need to stop this. And we even saw earlier at the ISB, they're like, we have too many prisoners. Like, we can't process them all. So like, there's a continuity even on these like really subtle political things that all make sense, that is also not without actual real life merit. Yes, like when you arrest a bunch of people and put them in prison for small infractions, like, I don't know, weed, you end up with like bigger criminals and more criminals, and people end up coming out of the system and stealing more because they can't afford things. And so again, it's Star Wars and it's the Senate and there's a Sith Lord in charge, but the actual things that are happening here, like, I laughed at myself. If you put me in a time machine and went back to post me coming out of Phantom Menace, where there was a trade blockade on Naboo and they were voting about it, and I was like, why the fuck is politics in my Star Wars? This isn't what I want. And then you watched me having a fucking orgasm about Mon Mothma trying to get the votes like she's in Act 2 of Hamilton. I would be like, get out of here. But I love it. I love it. I think it's all so interesting. And I loved when Mon Mothma was in the Senate and that homeboy was out there having them all do the Pledge of Allegiance to the Empire. Wow. And she started saying it, and then she just couldn't stomach it and started like squeezing her box. And you're like, man, like this is a woman that's on the edge. Like she's been funding the rebellion, but whereas Luthen is like, I'm gonna go do the Empire. I'm gonna go be like the Empire and get people to kill people, and I'm gonna do this. She's been funding it and she's been working with him, but she's also trying to work within the system to make things work. And this was that moment where she's like, I don't know how much more of this I can take. So that was all great. Benjamin Bratt is fine. He is a handsome man. Like, all love to Jimmy Smits, but I feel like Bail Organa got to glow up. Like, this was great. But also, I loved Tony Gilroy came out and said this, and John, you've seen the episode, so you know more, but like, he came out and said he kind of just put Benjamin Bratt in this episode to get all of the discourse out of the way. Smart. Because in the next arc, Bail Organa's got to cook. Like, there's stuff that they needed him to do in the next arc, and he didn't want all of us talking about the recasting. So he put him in this episode so that we could all do exactly what we're doing right now and talk about the recasting, so that when we get to next week, we're like, all right, we're done with that. Let's talk about what Bail Organa got into, which I thought was super smart. And then, like you said, the entire scene at the party, I mean, I was screaming at the TV. I couldn't deal with what was happening in that room. Like, watching her try to get that, when she said it stuck, I think I had to pause the TV for a minute and just take a breath. Like, I was getting the vapors. Like, it was intense. But I gotta say, Ben Mendelsohn is having a gay old time playing Krennic, and I do mean gay. Like, you watch some of these expressions, he is sassing it up, but it is literally like him and Mon Mothma talking to each other was like AOC and JD Vance facing off around an art museum. Like, it was wild. Like, when he was like, oh yes, I've been on several of her committees, or I've been in front of several of her committees. You're like, yeah, this is a dude who has been questioned a bunch of times by this senator, and now they're just at this party and they are barbing back and forth, and it's just like so thinly veiled disgust and hatred. And I found that as exciting as what was happening on the other side of the room as she's trying to get the device out. So
yeah,
the politics of Star Wars, I could talk about for 3 hours. I find it fascinating. And Mon Mothma's at the center of all of it, and I love it.
Sounds like a future live show we should do. Shannon, your thoughts on the Mon Mothma stuff with Clea, and then the Clea stuff, and also the Benjamin Bratt recasting.
Yeah, the moment where the one alien is leading the oath, the loyalty pledge, and you see the moment that Genevieve O'Reilly finally breaks and does an about face and leaves. I mean, beautiful, beautiful moment. Yeah, Benjamin Bratt, like it's wild that Jimmy Smits wasn't available. Like it's one of those things that he's played the character since the prequels.
Yeah.
You know, he was in Rogue One. It is just absolutely wild to me. Like, I'm wondering if there is more to this story, or if it was just
the rumors are scheduling and finances, because he's currently doing a show. So there were rumors that it was an issue with scheduling and financing. But I always think that stuff can be worked out, Shannon. Like, if an actor really wants to do it, you know.
That's kind of my thought too. I mean, but again, we don't know what. Rather, Vogel and I don't know what the production demands would have been for the next 3 episodes. Like, based off of this, that was a day. Like
well,
he shot it.
Could have asked Jeremy Renner. He's available.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been an issue.
Yes, watching the publicly polite discourse between Krennic and Mon Mothma as it slowly devolves and you see temperatures start to rise a little bit. I mean, normally when you have a scene where someone has to do a thing and this thing, there's something else distracting people from discovering the thing. Yeah. Normally this scene is not that interesting. You are 100% focused on the fact that Clea is trying to remove this bug. But the fact that whenever they cut over and Ben Mendelsohn and Genevieve O'Reilly are just going back and forth. This is one of the reasons, I mean, again, like watching Rogue One, I thought Orson Krennic, I'm like, that's a fascinating guy. And a lot of that is Ben Mendelsohn. I'm like getting him in that type of role and now letting him kind of stretch his legs a little bit. Yeah. But yeah, normally the distraction scene is not nearly as interesting, and they were equal parts interesting, equal parts exciting. I was watching this on my couch. Normally I watch Andor in the office because my wife doesn't watch it, but she fell asleep the other night, and she's like, hey, put something on. And I said, okay, do you want to start The Traitors season 3? And she was just like, yeah. And 2 minutes in, she's asleep. I'm like, I'm putting on Andor. And so during that whole sequence, I am pacing like she was laying on my lap at one point.
I love how you're the boss. You're the boss in that house, McClung.
Yeah.
The scene starts. She's laying on my lap. I'm like, honey, I gotta get up. I'm pacing back and forth as she is, completely out. But again, everything in Mon Mothma's arc for this trio of episodes. Oh,
guys, sorry. Is that me? Okay,
is that me?
Are we back? Okay, I just want to make sure we're back.
I was just here.
Yeah, sorry about that. It might be my internet. I don't know. Yeah, I agree with you. I don't want to belabor the point. You guys have hit all the big points, I think, with Mon Mothma. The performance here is fantastic from her and from Elizabeth Dulau as Clea. I think she doesn't get as much respect or publicity or conversation as everyone else because her role is so strong and foundational. Everyone else is getting to fly around and do their stuff. But this is why you cast an actress this strong, because the way she is holding Lonnie in place, it's almost like it's almost like a Rocky 3 when Mr. T keeps shoving Stallone back into the corners and keep punching him. It's that kind of power that she is displaying with just her eyes. And just move to your goddamn left, move to your right. And then you're going to listen to the story I'm telling you about how they use their hand because they're blind to tell these stories. And Lonnie is shitting himself, but he has no other opportunity. And I also think what's great at what you guys brought up, the background scene of them having the conversation. If Mon Mothma and Krennic don't have that conversation, Krennic sees that, figures that stuff out.
Yeah.
So it's important that they're connected. So all of that works really well. And yes, I have no problem with Benjamin Bratt because listen, Jimmy Smits meant a lot to growing up as a Latino, seeing him play the roles that he was playing, NYPD Blue, LA Law. It's really important. Benjamin Bratt came just a little bit later, just as important, Law and Order, other things that he did. And so him soulfully replacing the spirit of Jimmy Smits, even though Jimmy's still alive, I think works. And I think you guys are gonna enjoy what he's gonna do in the next few episodes. So yeah.
Well, anyway. I enjoy it already because now Princess Leia's got a DILF. I would say that Clea, the other thing that I think like we would be remiss not to mention is the scene where she confronts Luthen about the bug, and he loses his shit on her. Right. And we talk about the people that are able to stand up to Luthen, and like she is fierce. She's like, I am fucking done with your bullshit. Like he's like, I can't keep it all straight, and she's like, are you done? Get your shit together. And like that, like she was great. Like Clea's great.
There, and I will say this, and no spoilers, but there's more to come from her, which I think you guys are going to enjoy as well.
Also, and I know we're running long, but the fact that there's an Imperial named Lonnie who has a tiny little mustache that gets repeatedly just smacked around by Luthen and Clea is just very, very enjoyable.
Lonnie Young is his name, Jung, which I think is hilarious. Let's move on to this real quick. Vel and Cinta here. Thoughts on this, Michael? This storyline, really sweet. The way we saw them, of course, teased in the first 3 episodes with Cinta taking care of business with poor Take Homa. But then Vel and Cinta coming together, having this wonderful conversation, hearing about the accident that affected Cinta that we don't see, obviously, but she talks about it and how it kind of changed her approach and her viewpoint, and also Vel and her approach and viewpoint. And then we see what this all leads to on Gorman, and we see the battle between the Gorman rebellion leaders that leads to this heist moment. And one of the rebellion leaders is battling one of the younger guys who should not have had a blaster because they told him not to bring any weapons, and his blaster inadvertently kills Cinta, and Vel delivers one of the most amazing, emotionally powerful lines to him. She isn't beating him up. She isn't trying to kill him. She just says, you're going to carry this forever. You're going to, it's amazing. So what are your thoughts on how they handled the Vel and Cinta stuff and the Gorman rebellion storylines here?
It would have been kinder if she had beat him up.
Yeah, I know. You're right. Jesus. That
was one of the most epic takedowns. Like I was feeling the sting of it, and I didn't kill the Cinta. I thought the Vel and Cinta, like, again, there's definitely a parallel between Vel and Cinta kind of staying apart and the implication that Luthen kind of kept them apart, and then them both coming back together because they wanted to, and Luthen allowing that at the same time that we're watching Cassian and Bix deal with this, and they get to come together at the end as well. Cassian and Bix get the better ending, at least for now. But like Vel and Cinta, it was heartbreaking. Like, I think that they're both amazing. And the scene that they have at the cafe where they do come back together is so lovely. And again, the story all weaves together. Like, Cassian is mad because he thinks the Gormans don't have what it takes and they're not able to do it. Luthen is going to push that because he needs them to push it. Deidre and Cyril are pushing the Gormans to do this. They're all pushing the Gormans to do the same thing. And then watching yes, they win. Like, yes, we need them to like get the stuff and get Seal from the Empire and feel like they won, but we still have a cost for their inexperience. Now, their inexperience is going to cost them greater in the next arc, but we get a personal cost for it here with Cinta in just a completely avoidable way. Like, it wasn't even, I was talking to some people about this on my thread on Twitter about it. It wasn't even like an Imperial officer showed up and the guy jumped the gun to try and protect somebody. Like, it was one of the dudes who also hates the Empire, who wasn't a part of the Resistance, that was like, what are you guys doing? And he was trying to get him out of the way, and they started arguing about fucking bullshit. And then he pulled the gun that he wasn't supposed to have. Like, on every level, they had already stolen the stuff. It was completely avoidable. So Cinta has the most needless, pointless, tragic death you could possibly have after all of the stuff she survived, and it fucking sucks. Like, it sucks for Vel, but even as a viewer watching it, you're like, fuck, that's how she dies? That's fucking lame. And that's good writing, because that's the point. It is supposed to be that. And when Vel lays into that dude and was like, "You're the guy, you weepy little crybaby," like she just fucking rips him absolutely apart. And it's just really sad. The other thing I want to bring up, because I've seen a lot of people talking about this on Twitter, a lot of queer people that are upset that Cinta died, and it's like the whole kill your gays trope that happens a lot in entertainment, where queer couples die, where other straight couples live, and there's a lot of discourse about this, and Cinta being one of the actresses of color on the show, so there's a lot of discourse about it, and this falls into the kill your gays tropes. And look, you can obviously make that argument. They are the queer couple on the show, but I would argue that that trope tends to happen when Walking Dead did this, I think, more than once, where you just kill somebody to be like, oh, look, we had to kill somebody, this goes. Like the Vel Cinta death, the reason Cinta died, the way it all ties into the Gorman arc and all of the bigger things that Tony Gilroy is talking about, I don't think you can really accuse him of that in a way that you could accuse other shows of that. And I say that as a queer person. So absolutely, you disagree with me in the comments, we could talk about it. But I just felt like I've seen it enough, and being the queer one on the show, I thought I should bring it up, because I don't think this one you have to allow for also in a show where a lot of people are dying. It's not like she's the only one. So I thought it was just something to bring up. But overall, I thought it was a shitty way for Cinta to go, which was the point.
Yeah, I agree. Like the Brasso and Cinta deaths have not come with the whole like speech of carry on the rebellion, fight for me. It's just how war is. It is random, it is insane, and it will drive you crazy, because 1 second this person has survived all kinds of battles, and then just random blaster fire when they weren't expecting it just takes them out. Brasso, the same thing. He's been able to elude these the Empire for so long, and then these dudes, stormtroopers who can't hit the side of a barn, do eventually take him out. And so it's just that kind of thing you see. What do you think, Shannon, about the Vel and Cinta storyline and where it ended up here, and also the Gorman rebellion stuff?
When you look at the timeline, that they haven't spoken in about face to face in like 2 years. They saw each other ever so briefly, but they haven't spoken in 2 years. So like any good story, you give the audience what they want, and then you yank it away. And that again is that's what gets people so emotional about pretend characters. I mean, watching that reunion that they got to have, it was so sweet. And then the moment where you hear the blaster go off, it's just like, oh, somebody got hit, and oh my God, it's the one person one of two people that you did not want that stray blaster bolt to hit. Someone that knew what they were doing. And because the guy did not listen to what he was told, where Val said, Cinta and I will have blasters, you do not get one. And looking at Vel's and Cinta's dedication to the cause in the escape, in the vehicle where that guy is shedding some tears, if that had happened to Bix, would Cassian be beating the hell out of that guy? Probably. Right. Vel's dedication to the cause, where all she does is a verbal dressing down and forces the guy to make eye contact. Like, you do not get to cry. Like, do not cry. Like, I think as Bo already said, like, it's probably worse.
Yeah, buddy. You're like, all she did was give him a dressing down. I've never seen anybody say something so brutal to somebody in my life.
Yeah. And he's been friends with me for 20 years. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, both they're both excellent performers, and just heartbreaking.
Yeah, I thought so too. And it also showed, these mini moments that you create with characters, I think is so important in making a great show. Yes, Cassian has grown, but so has Vel. This is the same Vel who was temperamental and emotional with Luthen, didn't want to take in Cassian in that first season, was frustrated about all this stuff. And that's what ended up leading to her and Cinta breaking up. Like, it just wasn't the right mix at the right time, and she was way too intense one way or another about things, and Cinta had to go off and do her own thing and leave her behind. And then when they come together, they get the closure. You're right, Shannon, this idea of like, we want to make you feel good before we kill one of them. but her speech shows you how far she's grown, how much death she's seen in this rebellion and in these wars, in these battles, how much she's watched other people lose loved ones right in front of her, or their best friends or their loved ones. And so all of that is mixed into the delivery that Faye Marsay does here, who is also great in Adolescence, if you haven't watched that show.
Oh, yeah.
Her delivery here is so powerful, and you feel that because it's also the same temperamental, emotional kid, just like she was in season 1, who was like, you can't tell us what to do. We're Gorman. It's our place. It's our planet. Who are you to come and tell me, give me directions, give me this kind of thing? And because he didn't listen, someone died. So now you've got to carry that and grow up from it, as Val herself had to grow up from it. So there's a little bit of a circular thing that I think is great to see in that storyline as well.
I feel bad for those Gormans, is all I'm gonna say.
I can't say anything. All right, here we go. Let's end with this, Shannon. Breathe in the vapors, man. Breathe in the vapors. So much going on with Wilmon here and Saw Gerrera. You know, we find out where Saw was at. You know, Wilmon's being trained. He's training this guy who works with Saw to learn how to use this weapon that they've gotten. And then eventually Saw kills the guy, knowing he's a traitor or thinking he's a traitor, depending on how you view Saw's ability to assess that. And by the end, Saw is the one recruiting Wilmon, telling him about how he grew up, in essence, in a prison colony as a kid, and having to take in those fumes. He now makes Wilmon take off the mask and suck in the fumes deeply as a sort of initiation into the rebellion. So what were your thoughts on the Saw Gerrera and Wilmon storylines here to wrap up our review?
You know, when you see like specials on like 2020 or whatever news magazine shows where they show you like cult leaders and you look at this person and be like, how on earth did they trick this group of people to follow them? I mean, Saw Gerrera is literally like, Wilmon shows up, is like, I gotta get the hell out of here. Like I am supposed to leave tomorrow. This was negotiated, but the more he talks with him, the more you see the radicalization of Wilmon. And I hadn't actually considered that guy may not have been an Imperial spy. I think he probably was, but it's fun to speculate that
Saw's so unstable. Who knows? Yeah.
I think Saw saw the value of Wilmon, and it's just like, oh, I like this guy way better. I'm gonna get you out of the way. Yeah, just the speech that he gives at the end. Again, Saw Gerrera is a character since Rogue One. Forrest Whitaker's interpretation of Saw Gerrera, gets poked fun at a lot. But this one, and certainly there's room to riff on his voice, but listening to that speech at the end, talking about how the skin bubble, like, it was just so captivating. And like, we're hearing that as the audience is like, well, this is the talk of a crazy man. But it's also, it's like, is this starting to make sense? Am I about to become a Wilmon as well? And when Wilmon rips that mask off and breathes everything in, I mean, that was, I wouldn't say that's his trip to the dark side, but that is definitely his trip to the Saw side.
Yeah. Michael, your thoughts on this? What does he say? He says, revolution is not for the sane, given that they will be dead before they see a new republic. What did you think of this scene and the conversation, the back and forth they had here, Wilmon and Saw, as he recruited him into his crew?
Saw Gerrera is what Star Wars does best. Saw Gerrera in Rogue One is a little silly.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, who the fuck is this guy? Why is he limping? He's breathing in the thing. Oh, Jen, are you here to kill me? And you're like, I mean, cool. Like, I'm in on this movie, but yeah, that was a leap.
Yeah.
But the more that they have used him in Star Wars Rebels, here, other places, and really rounded out this guy who was completely just off the reservation, doing what he wanted, couldn't be controlled, not a fan of Mon Mothma at any level, and barely tolerates Luthen. He's really, really interesting. The fact that he was trained in his ways by Ahsoka Tano, Anakin Skywalker, and Obi-Wan Kenobi in a cartoon, and this is where he ended up, is a hell of a journey. Like, it's wild. But yeah, it was a great, like, Wilmon coming into this, everything Shannon said is true. Like, the guy, he comes in, he's like, I can't wait to get the fuck out of here. These people are crazy. There is zero proof that guy was an Imperial spy.
Yeah.
There was proof that Saw Gerrera wasn't sure he was going to be able to pull it off. And then said to all of his people, he's a spy, while we literally watch his right-hand man plant the evidence on him and pull it out of his jacket. Oh, here's the evidence that I just found right here. That was, I loved it. Like, I think Saw Gerrera is absolutely batshit insane. But again, in the same way that Luthen is the cold-hearted bastard that you need, Saw Gerrera's rebel tactics and the way that he operated, like, he had his purpose. But I also think that his speech here, which I think will be the peak of what Saw Gerrera ever does, was such a fucking strong speech. Yeah. And the whole, like, you can't be sane to be in a rebellion because we're all going to die, the quote that you just said, actually makes his death in Rogue One 1,000 times cooler.
Yeah.
That this man dies at the mercy of the Death Star on Jeddah right before the rebels finally get those plans that are going to take the Death Star out. Like, that's really, really cool. Also, as a nerd, I really like that he's in the exact same base that they're at in Force Awakens.
Yeah. In Dakar. Yeah, I mean, to me, as I texted you guys, he is my spirit animal. He's absolutely who I love the most. I hated when people went after him after Rogue One because I loved what Forrest did. Are you here?
For the dream.
For the dream. That's his last line. Amazing. That's his last line. Save the rebellion, save the dream. Even at the end.
Bengali.
Exactly. But what he says here, like the description, this is a beautifully written speech by Beau Willimon. Like, just when he says, describing the fact that the old men died, their clothes melted away because of the Rhino, so they worked them naked, boys, to the point where all you know is going back and forth to the job, and you can feel your skin coming alive, and then he rips off his mask, and Willimon is freaking out. He's like, you got to take it. And he even says that Rhino is his sister. So what does that mean? Because we know his history with his sister in the Clone Wars. So it's like, there's so much here that he's talking about. You're like, what the fuck? This is madness. And then you go, as Shannon mentioned, oh, this is how cult leaders bring people in. Yeah. They are more confident than the insecure people that come into this who are looking for direction, looking for someone to follow. Saul radiates this kind of belief and confidence in what he's doing. Plus, there's a little bit of the madman in him, which entices people to follow him. Yeah. As we see in our lives. And so it's this kind of thing where you see that and you're like, wow. And then him saying, we're the Rhino kid. We're the fuel. We're the thing that explodes when there's too much friction in the air. Freedom is calling. Let it in. It's amazing. So I love that. And it's the further recruitment of Willimon, who's been having this quiet little arc through these 6 episodes as well. Yeah.
I have a Shannon, who is your spirit animal in Andor?
Well, I can't pick that out. I can tell you who I'd want to play.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Cyril Karn.
Oh, yeah. You'd be good.
So I just want all of our listeners to really just, as we're ending this excessively long review episode, I want you guys to breathe in the fact that Shannon's spirit animal is Cyril Karn, Rocha's is Saw Gerrera,
and
mine is Mon Mothma. Oh, and if that doesn't sum up the Geek Buddies, I don't know what does.
So true. So true. All right. Well, that's our review of these latest 3 episodes, 4, 5, and 6 of Andor Season 2. Thank you so much for joining us. As Michael said, sorry, we went a little long, but hey, there's a lot to talk about. And this is a supersized annual episode of the Geek Buddies here for the week. Shannon, what do we have to tell them?
Yeah, I'd like to follow us on social media. On Twitter, it's @geek_buddies. On Instagram, at @the_geek_buddies. If you'd like to follow me on social media, Cyril Karn. On Twitter, it's @Shannon_McClung. On Instagram, it's Shannon the Geek Buddy. You want to dance like no one like no one's watching? Check out Michael Vogel @MKToon. If you want to talk about lies, deception, save the dream, follow John Rocha @The Rocha Says.
Are you here to turn on me? Michael, yes.
Oh man, go ahead and smash that like button below. Subscribe to Johnny's Outlaw Nation page and get radicalized with all the content that he's got there. Leave your comments below. What do you think of Doomsday casting, Hawkeye paychecks, the DC universe, and all things Andor? Let us know your thoughts below. Also, let us know what you think of our shiny new look here. And let us know how we should handle that. If you're listening to us on a podcast, leave us some stars and comments so we open the rankings. And as always, the best thing you can do is retweet this video, post it on your socials, send it to your friends, and tell them to hang out with your buddies, the Geek Buddies.
There you go. Thank you all so much. Enjoy your weekend. Go see Thunderbolts and then come join us live at 5 p.m. PT on Sunday night for our spoiler review of Thunderbolts here from the
Geek Buddies.